Hello, and welcome to your first homework assignment, as it were. Um, this is the tutorial that goes along with the assignment, which is a ridiculously easy assignment, but I just want to make sure that all the proper protocols are followed. Pay no attention to the many, many browser tabs open on my uh, laptop, but I wanted to go over this sheet and interactively go over how exactly to look up the information on the web for you to be able to do this. This assignment is called Finding Research Articles, and you should have gone over at least the chapters 1 and 2 lectures before you hopped into this. But if you have familiarity with article databases and things like that, then perhaps you don't need those right away. But again, it is recommended. So here I have the tutorial, which is the document that is on the Finding Articles homework. This is due by the end of week 1. And I will then interactively use my new tab over here to actually do it so you can follow along. So in order to find articles to accompany your research paper, you need to do a literature or lit review, which entails literature or lit searches to find the articles. The way to do this is to use a database of articles, which is of course available to you through the library at ELAC. Now, because we are off campus, you may be required to put in your name and ID number or whatever your password is for it to access the library databases because you're off campus. But I'm not sure if they waive that or if you actually have to do it, because I normally do this from inside the class. So we'll go through it and see from my end if I'm able to do it. And if not, then we'll work around that. I will also go over Google Scholar, which is how to get scholarly articles like journal articles from Google as a Google search. There are pros and cons to both, and I will go over that in this tutorial. So for the purposes of this class, it is best to use the database for either PsycArticles or PsycInfo. Pretty much interchangeable. You can use either one. I'll show you both of them, and they look very similar. They also have pretty much the same articles, but if you're looking for something specific, this assignment is not a specific one, but later down the line, if you're looking for something specific to do a critique on, then maybe one would have it and the other wouldn't. But for the most part, they have the same. So I'll show you both PsycArticles and PsycInfo. So I say it's best to use the database for PsycArticles, although you can use the another one entitled Psychology and Behavioral Sciences Collection, EBSCO Science Full Text. Additionally, there's an option to make it easier and use Google Scholar, although you may be limited by certain things. So I'm going to give you the pros and cons of these and take you through the process with me. Your homework assignment, 5 points. Don't worry about the due date. I should have changed that, and I never did. This was from the spring semester, so again, my apologies. But I will make a note on it. That I want it turned in by Sunday, which is, I believe, September 6th, I want to say. I'm pretty sure it's the 6th. So normally if you were to turn it in class, it would be the first page of any article, but because you're just downloading it and you're not having to print it out, then just send me the whole thing. I do want the PDF version of it and not the HTML version, which could be pages and pages longer because of the way that it's formatted. You may also use Google Scholar for the same purpose. Again, I want the PDF. Do not download the HTML version and send that to me. Okay, PsycArticles. What are the pros and cons? Let's move down. Pro. With PsycArticles or PsycInfo, these databases on the ELAC library website, it's easy to be able to limit your searches to exactly what we asked for. Remember in Chapter 2 that I asked for, or I talked about, that we are mainly going to use journal articles. So you can limit your searches to these peer-reviewed journal articles, which means you're not going to get meta-analyses, you're not going to get review articles, you're not going to get chapters from books. You're going to get exactly what I asked for. This is important because we want to use articles that have approved scientific validation, journal versus media and journalism, and we want to use a good basis or a basis of good science. Another pro is that you can put in very precise information searches. You can tailor it exactly the way you want. The con? There's not really one other than I tried to come up with one. And the interface is a little unwieldy. Not much of a downside, really. It's just kind of clunky, maybe. With Google Scholar, the pro is that it's easy, even easier to use as the interface because we're all used to Google. So you just type your search in the Google bar for Google Scholar, and the search results will list it as Google does, sort of using their algorithm to look at the number of times that this article has been cited. The more times an article has been cited by other articles in their literature reviews and things like that, it's said to be better because it's, recirculating in the research world. So Google sort of plans their algorithm by the number of times it's been cited. So the one that's been cited the most are going to be on top. So it's nice because the more times it was cited by other articles, the more validated it is by others. And usually that gives it a pretty good amount of importance for the article. The downside of Google Scholar, of course, is that it occasionally returns results that are not peer-reviewed journal articles. And it also will give you, even though you're searching for something in the psychology range, it may return results from all sciences and not just psych that may have similar titles, very similar subjects. It doesn't filter those out the way that psych articles and psych info would do. So you just have to make sure that it's exactly what you wanted and that it's from a journal that is about psychology. And of course, the other downside to this may be a problem in the long run. The other con to this is that you don't always have free PDF versions available. In psych articles, through the school website, through the library website, you will get PDFs that are available to you through the school for free. And I never, ever, ever want you to have to pay for one. So, in that sense, Google Scholar will work, and you'll see as we go through it that you can download some, but you just want to make sure that it is what you want. So there's pros and cons to all sides. So using psych articles, whoops, I went a little too far. Using psych articles, we start out at the elac.edu, so I'll erase this new tab, and I'll just click on the hyperlink. Oh, this page has an internal error. So this is the elac.edu/library. I don't know why the server error has done that. I'll try clicking one more time, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So we will just manually go back to the tab that was open. And I'll say elac.edu/library. And it seems to not be working. Well, let's try elac.edu. Page cannot be, there it is. And we can also go through here and find the library. Student services, student resources, library. All right, well, now it's working. So if we go back to our worksheet, once we get there, on the tab on the left that says Find Articles, click on it, then click on Databases. Pretty simple. Here, over here, eBooks, Find Books and Media, Find Articles. That's the one. And then we want Databases. So going back to our sheets, what you see is, again, if you're on campus, I would imagine you may not have to log in. Otherwise, enter your login information, username and password. For me right now, I have the databases here. You even have help with chatting with a librarian. All right, going back to our instructions. Once you have done this, you may click on the letter P or scroll down along the left side and find the article database called PsycArticles. Click on it, and this is what you will see at the top. So if we go down, it says it kind of looks like this. This looks a little vague, so let's go over here. So we don't need help, but we can look at the article databases of A through I, and on the left side is A through Z or J through Z, sorry. So let's go down to P, and here we have PsycArticles, and here we have PsycInfo. So let's go and click on PsycArticles. And here you need to, the ACE password. Let's see if I still have it. Looks like I do. So let's log in because I'm off campus. And there we go. This is what this is supposed to be. So looking here, we have blank and blank and blank. So we are looking for quick searches, but remember, we're not using this like Google. So if you type in 2 words, that means you want those exact 2-word phrases. So emotional memory. If you want to search for emotional memory, let's see what happens. So up here, I'm at an awkward angle, so I am not typing my best. Emotional memory. First of all, before we actually go into this, I want to show you where it says select a field. So if you click on this, you can select by that emotional memory is in the text, that it's in the title. We can search by author name, subjects, age group, classification, date of publication, and things like that. So I don't want date of publication. I'm just going to go back to the blank field. But all of those things can be very simply used to look for titles and stuff like that. You don't really have that in Google Scholar, but you do have the Google bar that kind of does that preliminary, batching of words. So if I hit search, what we find is specifically for emotional memory, here we have 1 through 50 articles of 3,851. So emotional memory, we see here, testing the emotional impact of mood and cue characteristics on detailed autobiographical memory retrieval. Here we see this is Simpson, Sheldon, and the article's name was Emotion, Volume 20, Issue 6, from September of 2020. And here's the pages. This was published by the APA, American Psychological Association. And what this tells us is if we want to look at mood and cue characteristics, if that's what we're looking for, you have 2 options underneath, the HTML full text and the PDF full text. If you just click on the actual title of the article, what it will do is take you to what we call the abstract, which I pointed out in Chapter 2 is the overall summary. So here again, you have the authors, you have the source, you have the publisher, and here's the abstract. I talked about the abstract as a beefier paragraph that basically describes what's going on. So in here, autobiographical memory retrieval is impacted by emotion, where an individual's mood state or a retrieval cue. Here we address 2 questions. So they're basically telling you what the background was, what they did, what they found, and what it means in one big paragraph. If you wanted this paper, a lot of times you can see on the left-hand side here, you have the HTML full text and you have the PDF full text. But I'm not going to click on that yet. Let's go back and go back to our worksheet. So go back up here to the search. And what does the worksheet say? If you want to search under 2 words, instead of emotional memory being 1 phrase, maybe you really meant emotions and memory, aka word 1 and word 2. So if we were to go back here, let's take away emotional memory and let's just put in emotions and memory as a separate word. So this is not emotional memory. This is now searching for articles that mention both emotions and memory, not emotional memory as one thing. Now we hit search, and will we get the same things? As it's thinking, no. Now we have 1 through 50 of 18,561. So your current search is emotions and memory. And here it says attention influences emotion, judgment, and decision making to explain mental simulation. Going down, suppressing but not intensifying emotion decreases arousal and subjective sense of recollection. Effects on hunger, on emotional arousal responses, and attention memory biases. Ooh, this sounds pretty cool because effects of hunger on emotional arousal, to me, this sounds like hangry. That's the combination of hungry and angry, right? Your emotional arousal may be greater, and that may affect your memory. So this sounds like something I'd like to see. Here we go. We're going to click on it. We get the same idea. Here is the abstract. In this study, we examined how emotional arousal interacts with hunger states and the processing of food stimuli. Ooh, this sounds like something that could be interesting. So here I have on the left-hand side HTML full text and PDF. Please, please, I want the PDF. I do not want HTML. So simply click on it. Here's the PDF. And for me, on my laptop, here we have effects of hunger and emotion. And you see that this is the full PDF. There's a title page here, and then the actual 12 pages of the article, or 11 pages. Here's your abstract, and then we have our, remember from chapter 2, the sections of the paper. So it starts out with the introduction, as it goes. Here's the method section, which goes second. After that, we have the results section, which goes third. And looking down at the end, we have the discussion, which is last. Here's the discussion. Do I expect you guys to read all of this? No. And then at the very end is the references that were cited in the article. But this PDF, you can right-click on it. You can hit Save As and then save it to a flash drive, save it to your desktop. You can erase it afterwards if you really want, or you can go up here and say Download PDF. That's what I would like you to do for the homework. So that is, so again, the advanced search is good for limiting things to keywords rather than the title of an article. The above example will look at articles specifically tied to memory and emotions. Otherwise, the database can generate a lot of useless stuff. As you see here, there are advanced search options where you can search even more. As I showed you, publisher, age groups, document type, supplemental materials, right? We can even look at animals versus human studies and things like that. Click search. You'll see multiple results. Go and look at the first few and see what comes up. If you want to, let's get out of here. And I'm going to go back into, this was psych articles. Let's look at psych info. See if we get the same 18,000 or whatever it is. Just to show you, psych info is exactly the same as psych articles in terms of, so we'll go back to emotions and memory. It's already saved in there. If I hit search, we may find exactly the same amount of publications. Nope. In this one, you see a lot less for emotions and memory. This one only has 7,152. And you can see that the ones at the top are not the same. So this is why for this assignment, and that it's better for the long term of this semester to use psych articles and not psych info. If I were to go back into psych articles and I wanted to type in something else, like, I don't know, memory and context, maybe, you can look for a different topic in psychology. context-driven memory, and things like this. So basically, what I want you to do is, on the honor system, is mess around in here for a good, 15 minutes or so. More if you really like to, just to search for different things, see what you like, and just make sure you know how to use the database, how to use the searches, make it as specific or general as you'd like. And I would like you to download, or at least upload a PDF into the assignment that goes with this tutorial. Moving on. This will bring the PDF full text up. You can right click for PC or however you do it, and you can do exactly the same way for the other databases as I showed you. So the downloading of the PDF and all of that is the same whether you use PsycArticles, PsycInfo, EBSCOhost, whatever it is. Google Scholar is a little bit different, so I'm going to go ahead and erase these. And it says the site is, and you can just go scholar.google.com. Shouldn't be any trouble finding this. Then you can search the way you normally do in Google. The problem here is you may be limited in articles you can get this way, since the library grants us permission that Google Scholar may not. There's a lot of articles you have to pay for, and again, I never want you to. So let's see here what Google Scholar, I guess coming from my document, it doesn't work. So let's just start a new one. We're already on Google, scholar.google.com. And here we have Google Scholar. So now let's look at emotional memory. And what we find here is Emotional Memory Systems in the Brain by Ledoux from 1993, most cited by 1126, cited by 1876, so very close at the end. Here we see this one, we do have a PDF. You don't have to click on the actual paper itself. It may take you to Science Direct in this case. And in Science Direct, you can see that you'd have to purchase a PDF here, and we don't want to do that. So do not, if you're using Google Scholar, and you can use both of them, do not click on the actual article. But over here on the right-hand side is where it tells you. So again, with this article, we do have a PDF from myptsd.com. Here it's an HTML. Again, that's not the ones we want. So if we were to go down and look through the search, not everything has something attached to it. Here is a PDF from PNAS, from ResearchGate. Let's go to this one from ResearchGate. Goal-Directed Memory, the Role of Cognitive Control in Older Adults' Emotional Memory. If you were to click on that, here's the actual PDF. Again, you can right-click, save as from a PC, and download this one, if that's what you want. So again, I'm not asking you with this first assignment, it's the first week, I'm not asking you to read the paper, to digest the paper, maybe read the abstract to see if it's something cool. It doesn't even have to be something that you're specifically interested in. But you can go to Google Scholar and do that. If I were to go back to Google Scholar, scholar.google.com, and now I just put in emotions and memory, we have different ones. So again, here is a PDF, Guilford Journals. Here's Voters' Emotions and Memory. This is an interesting one considering we have an election coming up. I click on the PDF, and here it is, and I can download it or save it to a flash drive or whatever you want to do if you need to save space on your laptop. So that's it. I wanted to show you both options. In a perfect world, you guys would go through Google Scholar and do the same thing I did on this tutorial, and you would go to the library website and do it that way. But you only need to turn in one article. It just has to be related to psychology. You don't even have to tell me which one you went to, but if you really wanted to add that, you could just upload the file, or you could tell me, maybe in the comments, I found this one through Google Scholar, or I found this one through PsycArticles. But this is just to get you familiar with the system so that later on, when we actually have to look for an article, or find ones that are related to our final paper that we're writing about a research article or an experiment, then you have the tools already in your possession and you're already pretty familiar with the system. Thank you guys for listening, and come see me in office hours and I'll talk to you soon. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, or if you just want to say hi. Talk to you later.